There's more millionaires than there are people with a six pack, day in and day out, that make people successful, and they're able to take that in any area of life. So Tanner, I would argue that if your body's out of whack, meaning you're unhealthy, you're overweight, you're lethargic, you aren't sleeping well, then everything else in business and life suffers. You're tired, you're reactive, unfocused. And I've seen so many times that people, or with better, with more financial wherewithal, or whatever word you want to, more wealthy people are most of the time in better health. And I think there's a strong correlation between the two to what makes them healthy and what makes them wealthy. And I think it's kind of starting to change. That's talked about more and more. But I think there's a huge gap there between the haves and the have-nots when it comes to wealth and health. You have, what are your thoughts on it? I mean, I know you don't like working out, so.
No, it's not that I don't like working out. I think I need to make it more of a priority. But I think that there's an argument to be made that the people that are wealthy are in extremely good shape because they have the finances to be able to afford them the time and the trainers and the best equipment.
So you're saying correlation versus causation.
Exactly. I think that there is an argument to be made there, but I also agree with the people that are extremely successful and wealthy have become the type of person that overcomes hard things. And going to the gym is just a hard thing. Getting up in the morning early is a hard thing, and they're just better at doing that. And if how you do anything is how you do everything, someone who can get up at 4 a.m, make time to work out and get their day started probably is a little bit more, shows more adversity in all things than someone who gives into the comfort, snoozes the alarm 12 times, and then gets up at 11 o'clock. They're probably the one that's going to take the path of most comfort and work an easy job that just barely pays the bills constantly. Obviously there's an 80-20 rule there, that not every wealthy person is in extremely good shape. I'm sure there's a good majority of them that are, though, and there's probably a larger population of wealthy people that also are avid health nuts than there are in the average obese category.
Yeah, I'm sitting here as you're saying that, like racking my brain, and like I'm trying to think of someone that I can think of off the top of my head that's an obese billionaire. The only one that came to mind off the top of my head is probably because he's in the news right now, but is the governor of Iowa or Illinois, JD Prescott, whatever his name is, but he's a billionaire.
Prescott.
I don't remember his last name, but I don't really follow him. I just know that he's in the news right now for other reasons, and so. But that's the only.
I mean, even look at like Mark Zuckerberg. Like, he's ripped now, right?
Yeah,
he wasn't always.
Like a purple belt jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, but he wasn't always. When he was in his building stages, which is 20 years of his life, like he wasn't obese, but he definitely was not healthy. What about
a little nerdy
Elon? Elon was not in really good shape for most of his life. Like Jeff Bezos was not ripped most of his life, and then they got wealth, and then they got jacked.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about ripped and all that stuff. Like, obviously, those people, yeah, they can afford the best trainers.
I'm bringing up exceptions to the rule. That
I'm just talking about, just before we started, I made this correlation that with the more money I see, some of the most obese people that I find are the most poor people. And as their wealth increases, their body fat percentage goes down. So money goes up, body fat percentage goes down. And it just baffles me as to why. Like, there has to be some correlation there.
Yeah, and I think lifestyle choice, like we talked about, the people that are doing hard things are doing hard things in all areas of life. I do also subscribe to the argument that the people with more wealth can afford healthier choices, organic foods. They can, that I do think that the most fast food, which is typically going to be cheaper than going out and eating a steak or fish or whatever.
Steak or fish, yeah.
Right. But to eat healthy, good, lean meals is more expensive than getting a Whopper or, whatever. Don't, sue us. But I think that the convenient choices that you'll find at a gas station or at a fast food restaurant are more affordable. They cater to people who are less wealthy. Granted, I think there's another exception to the rule. Warren Buffett eats McDonald's every day, but I think the point remains. I think it's fair to say that people who are wealthier are healthier because of the lifestyle choices of doing hard things, and also they can afford, because they have the money to do so. They prioritize their health because they want to live long lives. And someone who is unhealthy doesn't have the resources to even know where to start with that.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, I mean, you're talking chicken or egg, really. I'm not trying to make this about like this is the answer type thing, but it is something that's kind of weighing on me.
Attention to it,
yeah, because my wife and I are trying to go the more organic, the more natural, just kind of changing. Like, we bought new pots, like stainless steel pots, to not, have aluminum pots. Like, we had cheap aluminum pots before and stuff. Right? So it's like just these little small things. Like, I got rid of I quit using our Keurig. I just moved it downstairs and just started using a stainless steel French press to make coffee. It's just little things like that. That might not be little in some regards, but it's just trying to be more health conscious about stuff. And it's, I guess I would argue that if you buy a $30 coffee pot at Walmart, you can wait a little while and buy the $40 tea kettle.
True. But also, I mean, just looking at being in a caloric deficit versus not abundance, but over consuming. If you're trying to lose, 10 pounds, you have a 500 calorie a day deficit for 3 months, and you'll lose 2 pounds, whatever that math works out to be. The person who isn't doing those things, we're talking just a coffee pot, and then also doing something, buying 70-30 meat instead of the 90-10, and then also has fast food once a week because it's cheaper, and then also will reach for the pizza before reaching for the salad. Like, all of those little habits lead them down a path of obesity. So it's not just one area. I think it's all areas of life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the more, I'm not trying to turn this to that health thing, but the more I go down the health rabbit hole in my personal life, the more I realize, like, all the stupid things you just said. Like the salad, but we go and have a salad that's 1,000 calories.
Right.
Because we think that, like, I'll go back to
a salad and drown it in ranch.
Yeah. Going back to an ad in the 90s, it's like 4 out of 5 Olympians drink milk. Like, what's that say though?
Yeah.
Like, okay. Like, correlation or causation?
Exactly.
But that was the marketing thing. So now everybody's drinking milk. And salads are healthy. No, I guarantee you, I can go eat a steak and asparagus and have less calories, more nutrition than your little garden salad drowned in ranch.
Right.
So, but it's just all those, I was just picking on you with saying the stupid things, but it's all those little things that we believe as a society. That's what we're told. Like, salt's bad. It's this. Like, I'll tell you, like, I just had a hamburger the other day with some American Wagyu beef that was 75-25, and it was delicious. And I think it's more healthy than a lot of other things that.
Right. So the steak and asparagus is going to be a better option than the salad, right? But
That's my
is
belief.
it fair to say that the salad is a better choice than eating a large pizza to yourself?
I don't know.
Well, I think 2,500 calories versus 1,000 calories.
Well, yeah, I
salad
mean,
is,
I guess I was just going calorie for calorie.
right. You
So
know, calorie for calorie, I would agree. But point remains that the one who is making healthy choices is probably making healthy choices in all areas of their life and not just one area.
I think kind of what we're talking about is, or what we've mentioned here is, not all things that we're marketed to are good. Not everything that is preached is factual. And you kind of have to do your own research nowadays. Like, I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times I've had conversations with people. Like, I knew what they were saying were factually true or untrue. And I'm just like, you know that you can't convince them. So why even continue with the argument? And I feel like health is one of those main things. Like, you know that you're 100 pounds overweight, but yet you're arguing with me about whether what you're doing is right or wrong. Like,
well, but so on the original topic, would you say that being in shape is a luxury of being wealthy, or
I don't think so.
so what's your stance on it?
I think it comes back to discipline.
Hmm.
There's more millionaires than there are people with six pack. So I don't think the two kind of, I mean, I don't know what the numbers are, but how many millionaires are there with six pack? But there's a low percentage there. But I think it's just the discipline. It's being able to do the mundane, small things day in and day out that make people successful. And they're able to take that in any area of life. And you just see it in those two areas. I do think that if you can start off by just saying, hey, I'm this type of person that's not going to eat sweets, and then you use that, and then you say, I'm the type of person that's going to spend 2 hours a day on a side hustle. So those two go well together. Not that they have any synergies or anything, but just the discipline and the habits and the being committed to the word that you say. I think that's where they go together. And I'll add one thing to that. I think the energy that you get from being healthy, from working out, is another key contributor. There's a study that says, and I don't know the exact numbers, but so we take these in America, all these SSRIs and all this stuff for mental health. I don't know what SSRI stands for, but you're depressed, your anxiety, and all that stuff. And you take these pills. Working out for 30 minutes a day, I think it is like threefold more benefits than taking these SSRIs. But it's just the fact that I can pop a pill versus I have to go work out for 30 minutes. So it's easier. So I just think there's so many. I think we're just a sick nation. Unhealthy, that's what I mean. Unhealthy, sick nation.
Well, and I think there's also a population of people who are active and they have something hormonally wrong that they're not getting any support from doctors or traditional medicine, that don't have the resources to fix it. And so I think that's someone who.
Why are they hormonally wrong, though? I guess would be my. So I saw an interesting, whether it's true or not, reel on Instagram this week, and it was talking about Amish people. They have basically no obesity. Like America is full of fertility issues. The Amish have basically no fertility issues. Mental health is substantially lower than the American population. And they have no electronics. They have no, all their food's organic. Like when I lived in Europe, like there wasn't an organic food section and a non-organic
It's
food.
just-
It's just
yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
Only in America do we have this crap that we pass around as food. So as you can tell, I'm not real big on our food system around here.
No, I agree.
So, but anyhow, going back to your hormones, I know you're making a point and I interrupted.
No, I just think that it's having the resources accessible to be able to get to the root cause. Like you said, why is there a hormonal issue? Like, I have no idea. I don't know, because I don't have the resources to do that. I mean, I'd love to, but I think it starts with choosing the healthy life and doing the hard things in all areas. And if you when you have the monetary success to be able to allocate more resources, like I've heard the rumors that Elon Musk is going to figure out how to freeze a human for 100 years and whatever, all that crap. I think that it starts, the premise of this conversation was becoming the type of person who does hard things. That's my stance on it. And I think it's more like you said about the discipline of becoming a person who chooses the gym over choosing a movie and popcorn. That is where the true lifestyle change comes. And it's a correlation, not a causation, to being wealthy.
Yeah, and I would say if you're the average person working W-2 listening to this, you're better served initially getting your health under control than going starting a side hustle and trying to get wealthy, because that's going to take more time, more energy out of your day.
So which is harder? Is it harder to make $1 million, or is it harder to get in shape?
Well, to find in shape. Like you gave you had by $1 million, it's tangible. Like what is in shape? Like, so that's, you don't have anything to like rounds of shape, like,
Right.
But I don't know which one's harder, but I think you need to start off by defining what is in shape. And I would say that most people aren't. But I guess back to my point, it was, if you start getting in shape, start working out every day, you will have more energy to do the other things that you need to play with your kids, all that stuff. And you will do better in the long run. You can start taking those extra 2 hours to develop a side hustle and build a business or whatever it is. But I think taking the 30 minutes an hour every day to work out will benefit you more on the side or in the long term.
Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of similarities in getting healthy to getting wealthy. Like you said, you can't overnight become healthy just by working out for 24 hours straight. Like, it's the daily practices, and it takes time to become healthy.
Yeah.
Same is true with becoming wealthy.
Yeah. Are there traps to doing these things, to creating wealth, to becoming healthy? Like, do you start chasing the scorecard of wealth? Do you start becoming vain about your appearance?
I mean, yeah, I'd say so.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think
Or it just is what it is.
I think too much vanity in either sense is a problem. And yeah, I mean, we talked before about losing yourself in the pursuit of money, or losing your family, or whatever. I think that if you're pursuing health for the lifestyle and living a long life, then it's a noble cause. But if you're pursuing it just for the vanity of looking better, I don't know. I mean, who am I to judge?
Yeah. I think your ego, if both of those things are unchecked, your ego is just going to run crazy. And that's where you have the family issues, the marital issues, the friends issues, all those things. How do you grow in those areas without risking um, getting hurt or being through? Trying to think exactly how, not hurting your family, I guess, is what I mean. How do you? I'll back it out one. You only have so much time in the day. So now I work 8 hours. I drive an hour, half an hour there, half an hour back, take a lunch break, all this stuff. So by the time I get home, 10 hours of my day's already gone. Tell me I should sleep 8 hours a day. So that's 18 hours of my day gone. It only leaves me with 6 more hours of the day. Now you tell me I need to work out for an hour. My family needs time. I got to make dinner, all that stuff. So how do you kind of balance that? How do you have that conversation with your wife and be like, hey, I understand I'm taking an extra hour out of my day, but I need this in order to whatever. How do you bridge that conversation?
Yeah, I think a conversation my wife and I have had a lot is that if the reason that we're doing everything, the reason that we're working and that we're trying to be more healthy and all these things is for the kids, then we can include the kids in everything that we're doing. And it's not, the kids should never get what's left over. The same is true with we've talked a lot about your relationship with God. It's like God doesn't get what's left over. He needs to be the priority, and the kids are the priority. My wife's the priority. So if that's true, then you remember the analogy of the rocks, right? That they are the big rocks, and everything else fills the gaps. It's not work gets the chunk of the time, sleep gets a chunk of the time, and then if there's any time left over, I get my kids get that time. Like they get the time, and I think bringing the kids to work out, bringing the kids to meetings, to whatever's feasible, finding a way to insert them in the businesses and showing them the lifestyle that we're trying to pursue, I think is the answer.
Yeah, I guess I would give another perspective. I think it comes down to quality or quantity. Like, yeah, I can spend 5 hours hanging out with my kids, barely alert, wishing I was somewhere else and all that stuff. But if working out gives me more presence in the time that I have with them, then that's better served by working out. So, but that doesn't mean that you can't work out with them. I'm not,
Right.
I'm not saying it's an either or thing, but maybe you can have both of them. Maybe you can work out with that hour, go for a run, rucking, lifting weights, whatever. And then also have more energy for them later on in the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
To cook that nice steak.
Or that 1,000-calorie salad.
Or that 1,000-calorie salad. Yeah. I'm guilty. I like actually steak on my salad. That's the real McCoy right there. Does discipline in one area help another? So we'll kind of hit on that a little bit. Let me change that up. What other areas in life can you start having discipline? Start having discipline that will help in all other areas. Working out's hard to start with discipline, to be honest with you, because it doesn't feel good in the moment.
I think you read the book Make Your Bed. I think I might have lent it to you a while ago, but he talks about how making your bed is more than just the act of making your bed. It's about being more organized and preparing for the day. And even if you have a long day, at least when you come back, you have a made bed,
Got one thing accomplished.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think being organized and prioritizing the health and dieting and looking for opportunities to be healthy. Like you go out and eat a big meal, you're probably going to go for a walk because it makes you feel better. But someone who is taking the comfort route, they're going to get something that's unhealthy because it's more convenient than having to go cook their own steak or do whatever, and that's maybe not a fair example, but I think that through those types of habits and becoming the type of person that chooses the more, like all goes back to choose your hard, right? Working out is hard. Being overweight is hard. So choose which one.
Yeah, I think that brings up a great point. Is like we might not all get to choose the day that we go, but you can choose how much of that life you get to live in the meantime. Like, say we all die at 80. I don't know why I was about to say 8 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
So at 80 years old, if I can live to 79 and a half and still be active, I would rather that than be 60 and walk around with a cane and wheelchair and all that stuff. So yes, it's hard, but so's those last 20 years of life walking around, barely getting by. Like, I can't tell you
quality and quantity.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've seen the 60-year-old walking around in a cane and, oh, this, that, and the other. Like, this one guy's talking about his back one day. I'm like, oh, I can't do this because of my back. And the doctor says I can't work out because of this. I'm like, dude, can you work out with no weight? He's like, well, yeah, I can. Can you do a squat with no weight?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can do a squat with no weight. So why don't you just do squats with no weight?
Mm-hmm.
Then grab a 2-pound weight.
Right. So it's choosing the comfort.
Yeah. So like, I'd rather not do anything, even though I know I can. But he used to do heavy weights, and so he's like, it's an ego thing at that point in time. Like, well, my ego won't let me do a 2-pound weight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can sit here and complain about your back hurting all you want, or you can try to do something about it, and that drives me nuts. So,
well, if you really want to do something, you'll find a way, and if not, you'll find an excuse. This is a Jim Rohn quote, and we love that one because you see people who are marathon runners who lose a leg and then they go and become a Paralympic, champion because they don't let that stop them. The people who are choosing the comfort and choosing the easier food are going to choose that in all areas of life. And the slightest inconvenience, I've seen the meme before that there's, the one tiny cloud in the sky and it's like, I was going to go for a run, but it looks like it might rain today. Like that, I think it's so true because when you choose comfort, you're going to find every excuse not to do something. But the ones who they don't let anything stop them, which wealth, health, happiness, life, the ones who are pursuing that, it's more about the mindset that they have going into things of, I'm not going to let anything stop me. Like my mind's made up. And then we can get back into the manifestation conversation.
No, I mean, I think you're 100% right. Like, you're going to find a way or find an excuse. And when it comes to working out, it's easy to find an excuse. I mean, I'll be the first to admit that. Like, I'm not trying to begrudge that, but start off small. I think the biggest reason, and going back to this guy that wouldn't squat because he didn't want to squat without weight, and just wouldn't work out in general because he couldn't squat with weight. That was his excuse, and he's just kind of living that life. But yet he's sitting there like, oh, I can't even get out of this chair, my back, and this, that, and the other. I'm like, dude, like, anyhow, it just drives me nuts.
Well, and it's a game of inches. If you do the compound effect, atomic habits, whatever you want to call it, every single day doing some kind of movement will get you closer to that goal. Like, it's not going to get you farther. If you do 3 push-ups a day, you're not going to be in worse shape than you were when you were doing nothing.
You ever seen that video, the Diamond Dallas Page video with it's for DDP yoga? It was on Joe Rogan, and anyhow, it was a viral video they have. There's this guy, he was in the Army. He was airborne, all beat up from airborne jumps. Like, I want to say he was like in his 40s, bent over, hunchbacked. He had 2 like walking sticks on his hands because he was like bent over, and that's how he walked. Barely get out of the chair. Anyhow, just total like, oh my goodness, like this dude's got a rough life. He took him from there doing yoga, DDP yoga, to this guy who was like, they show him a year later or whatever it was, like sprinting down the street. No canes, no nothing, just sprinting down the street and pure. But he didn't let his current situation dictate where he was going to be in the future. So there's a new book out. I sent you the I don't even know if it's actually out, but I had the audio. I sent you the thing with it's basically a continuation of 10x is easier than 2x. And his big premise in there is too often, or basically in the world, we let our past dictate our future. He said, let your future dictate your now. Like, who are you in the future? And how do you show up today to be that person?
Yeah.
And I think that's what working out is. Picture yourself, you joked about manifesting, but you can manifest something, but you take that action. Like the Matthew McConaughey thing again. Who do I want to be in 10 years? See that person. Let that be your driving force, your North Star. And
and have a North Star button.
Yeah. So let that be, your guiding principle, but get out and do the work. And too often.
And that's why I truly believe that manifesting is just programming your reticular activating system. Is that when you are and some of the, like if you listen to manifestation hypnotists and what do you call it, meditations, they talk about being very clear with visualizing exactly what you want. And I think that what that's doing is you're programming your mind to look for these things. And then every aspect of your life, whether it goes from picking up the Pepsi versus picking up a Gatorade, you start to make decisions, even subconsciously, that get you to that end state. And when the people who are very big on manifesting, they talk about every morning, visualize, your dream and what I'm trying to use other words than goal, but visualize clearly who do you want to be in 10 years? What are you wearing? What are you driving? Where are you living? Everything about it, because what you're doing is you're teaching yourself to make decisions that person would make. And that's where I get to, all it is you're just creating habits. You're creating habits of the type of person that you want to be. And that is identity. Like if I want to be a ripped person, I'm going to identify as someone who chooses a healthier option over a Big Mac.
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily agree with the manifestation. I mean, I understand where it's saying. My biggest issue, just to be frank, is I don't know if that's from God. So that's my struggle. So
I think it's more about the intentions. Like I think you can, when you think about manifesting, I think you're comparing it to black magic or like some kind of, the people that talk about just wish it and it'll appear, versus the one, there are people who believe in manifestation in prayer. Like when you pray with your whole heart to God that, the white shiny boat, it doesn't just appear, but when God provides the opportunities for you to go and buy that boat, is that manifesting?
But I think that's where we get into, well, that opportunity never came, and now I'm gonna blame God. So God's not real. Anyhow, we could. It's a whole rabbit hole in of itself. But yeah, I just don't know that it's, lack of a better word, biblical. A lot of this manifestation.
I think that's a whole episode on its own.
Yeah. So, anything else you want to add to this, or?
No, I think, what we talked about, and I think we're on the same page, is the question was, is there a correlation between being wealthy and being healthy? And I think that the conclusion that we came to is that it's more about the discipline that it requires to become healthy is very similar to the type of discipline that it takes to become wealthy. And if how you do anything is how you do everything, you become the type of person that makes healthier choices. You're going to become the type of person who's disciplined enough to make wealthy choices.
Yeah. One thing I would, I guess, add to that is we talked about the oxygen mask, like put on your oxygen mask first before serving others. And same premise, you can't pour from an empty cup. So if you aren't taking care of your health, how are you going to take care of your family?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you...
well, I just caveat off that, it's if you're not taking care of your health, you don't have the energy to take care of your wealth and your family. You got to pick and choose. And that's where people are choosing wrong.
Yeah. And from a man standpoint, like you can, if you're 400 pounds, overweight, obese, you can't take care of your family. What happens if someone breaks in your house? What happens if, you know, like, I mean, you can go down that rabbit hole, you know, as a provider, you should be able to protect your family and stuff like that. So once again, that could be a tangent we could go down long enough on its own, but I think it all comes back to the same thing: being disciplined so that you can be all things. And I don't mean be all things like, you know,
be all you can be.
Yeah. What does that be? The old army slogan. Yeah. I was like, I recognize that. But yeah, like, how can you be the person that can show up to your kids' basketball game or soccer game or baseball game and be there and work and provide for your family, be a protector and all that stuff? And I do think I think it comes back to health, taking care of yourself. So I would say it's probably the, you know, as far as taking care of oneself spiritually, obviously, I think that's number one, but then health would be number two. So,
do you have a question to leave us with?
Yeah. So let's see. I wrote, do you see health and wealth as a tool to serve others or trophies to validate yourself?
Well, the closing thought for me is if you're unhappy with your finances, take a look at your health and see if you're equally unhappy.
Go bench press.
And then and then decide if there's a correlation between the two.
Yeah, cool. On that, appreciate it.